Is it true that you actually still remember hearing your dad tell your mom that you're not that smart?
Yeah, of course I do. Got left back in the 4th grade. Came home, and it was then that he stood there in the kitchen while I was on the back porch, and they didn't see me, and he told my mother he's not that smart. Just accept it and get over it. He's not gonna be much. You just have to accept that. And my mother turned around and saw me looking, and she was aghast because she was like, she knew I heard my own father say that about me. And then he looked and saw me as well, and he just turned around and shrugged his shoulders and walked away.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't care.
Do you still remember that feeling?
I always remember that feeling because those are the kind of things that motivate me. That's why, I don't, when people think about competition or people think about pressure and things of that nature, everybody has their thing that drives them, that motivates them. That's one of my driving forces, for my father to think that little of me at the time. He didn't always feel that way about me. He later grew to respect me once he saw what I was accomplishing and whatever, but he did nothing to help me get to that point. Mm-hmm. And because he did nothing to help me get to that point, and he was a driving force of motivation because of his doubts, it's something that I always held on to. And so as a result,
Your sister said the same thing.
What?
That it was your dad and your desire to kind of prove that you could be something that really motivated you.
But I told my mother that day, I said, he doubted the wrong dude. He doubted the wrong dude. I said, you'll see, we'll see. And I told her that day, he said it when I was in 4th grade.
How long did you think you were stupid for?
I think it was until I was in the 7th grade. When Mr. Caravan, my 7th grade teacher, it was open, it was parents, teachers conference night. And we went up there and he looked at my mother. He was my social studies teacher. And he said to my mother, your son has never let go of the fact that he got left back. He thinks he's not smart. I'm here to tell you he's wrong. And I was sitting there with my head down like this until he said, he's wrong, he's smart. And I was like, and I stepped up and I sat up, I looked at him, and he looked at my mother. She was sitting to my right. And he looked at my mother. He was sitting across from there staring at her. He said, Stephen thinks he's dumb because he doesn't know a lot of things. What he doesn't realize is that he didn't hear it because he drifts. He said, but when you pique his interest and you find something that he's interested in that intrigues him, he said he's a totally different person. He said, find out what your son is interested in and let him do that, and you will have a star on your hands. That's exactly what he said. And when he said that, I was like, and my mother looked at me and she was like, well, he loves sports, and so I'm reading stuff and not really comprehending when I'm reading newspapers or I'm reading books for homework and stuff like that. But anything that I read about sports, I picked up just like that.
Not to mention all of that was compounded by the fact that, you didn't correct me if I'm wrong, but you had undiagnosed dyslexia.
That's what they said. Yeah, that's what they later discovered. My sister and a family friend and whatever doctor friend they had, they was like, that's dyslexic. I mean, he's not really, is so much stuff that's convoluted that he's not picking up. So my sister Linda, who's a valedictorian and quite brilliant at everything she did, she sat down with me. She said, here's what you're missing, here's why. And so one of the things that also used to derail me was that if I didn't understand a word in a sentence, I would just lose everything. So what I did was I would stop and I would look up the word in its context and made sure it was utilized properly. And I would not continue to read until I knew that word that I didn't understand a few minutes earlier. I would just stop in my tracks because I hated the thought of not being able to comprehend and understand. And I'm 58 years old and I still do that to this very day. I get excited when I'm doubted. I get excited when people question my resolve and question my ability and stuff like that. It actually makes me smile. I'm like, I'm better when they do that. I can't stand when everybody, he's so smart, he's so this, he's so that, he's great, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that doesn't do it for me, because it makes me feel like I've arrived, and I don't want to feel like I've arrived.